Hey, welcome back everyone to the GitLab Duo Coffee Chat. For today's session, we will be looking more into GitLab Duo Chat, which is currently in beta. Yeah, and for that, I've invited Michelle to join us today. Would you shortly like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Michelle. Once again, thanks, Michael, for putting this together. I'm just kind of happy to be here.
Yeah, and we thought about from a maybe support engineering perspective or general perspective, how can we embed Duo Chat into our workflows, maybe sharing or diving into some analyzing a problem a customer might be having, like I prepared some broken source code or some broken things which we might be looking into, or we can also, for example, open the community forum, pick a random question, and then try to answer it using GitLab Duo chat, if that makes sense. But yeah, generally, GitLab Duo chat is available in the front end, or in the front end in GitLab itself in the UI. So if you navigate into help, you can access GitLab Duo Chat over here, and then you have it in here. Typically, you shouldn't see what I'm currently seeing. So it had a session which I had before. If this happens and you want to start with a fresh context, you can type in so-called code tasks or like slash commands, which can then help reset the session. Or maybe not. Oh, it's resetting conversation. Okay. So yeah, what I can do with Duo Chat is, for example, I can ask it how to create a new project I want to get started with, or I might be having a question around issue templates, and I can use Duo Chat as a way to like use it as a knowledge base with the GitLab documentation, and talk to it like a human being, I would say. How to manage issues efficiently with GitLab. From a prompt perspective is I'm asking a question, then adding a little bit of more context, sometimes like, please provide examples, and links to follow up or something like that. And typically, GitLab Duo is finding an answer in the background, so the large language model is like working on that. We can provide feedback. Okay, this didn't work for some reason. This was unexpected. But it's oh no. Either my internet is a little off or the streaming didn't work. So what Duo Chat might be using in the background is like streaming responses. Okay, to manage issues efficiently with GitLab, you can use issues to discuss. Okay. Use labels and issue boards to organize issues. Source issues. Okay, always start. I don't have any specific URLs to share on managing issues efficiently. Okay. Okay, this brings us to the issue documentation, which could be an entry point to learn more. But I also want to, I should have probably opened that in a new tab and provide that as a feedback. At this point, I'm probably not really satisfied with the answer, but I can think about refining the prompt or refining what I want to see. How to manage issues in GitLab using issue labels. Please show an example how to add a label. And I mean, this is more like a basic example, but it's sometimes it can be also like challenging figure this out. And one of my follow-up questions, okay, it's actually streaming the responses. That's why I didn't see anything before. And the idea of streaming the responses to get an answer faster rather than waiting until everything is, so the thinking process of the AI is kind of finished and then putting back the response. So I get to see things faster. Okay, to manage issues, you can add it in the admin area. Okay. This doesn't work on GitLab.com, but it's a great response for self-managed. And I can do that. How to manage issue labels as a group owner. Maybe refine the context once again. Okay.
So I have a question. So in these responses, would it be helpful to differentiate, hey, this is a self-managed answer or this is SaaS, or are they only going to see, I guess, the answers for the version that they're kind of in?
I think so the model doesn't know about the instance information or like the chat prompt as far as I know. I think it would be helpful to get that in a response. What I can do now, since I can instruct the prompt with a more refined question, is to explicitly add that to the question and say how to manage issue labels on self-managed GitLab, for example. So that I refine the prompt and get better responses from Duo Chat, which also sometimes you will not get the same response after asking the same question over time, because generative AI is not predictable. But typically it should provide like a helpful way to instruct that. And what I learned is like ask a simple question, and if the response is not helpful because it's either SaaS or self-managed, refine that and provide as much context as needed. I also talked to someone else in the coffee chat this week, and we thought about low context communication like we do at GitLab is also helpful in a way of like talking to Duo Chat or talking to AI prompts in general, by like providing as much context as needed so that the other side can continue async and doesn't need to request more input from my side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thanks.
So yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I need to also open a feature request. I want to have some so cursor up, cursor down to navigate the prompt history, similar if you have a terminal or command line that you can navigate the terminal history, selecting the previous questions or previous conversation and then refining it, for example. How to asking many how-to questions. I have an issue without labels. Which actions can I take to add labels? And I kind of want to see an answer now, whether using the UI, using quick actions in GitLab. And I'm hoping in this test now to get to see that. Okay. I didn't see everything. Maybe I need to ask specifically for that. Are there any quick actions available to assign labels to issues? What's also interesting having Duo Chat here is when you have an issue actually opened, I can also ask it to summarize the opened issue. But okay, you can use label, quick action, unlabel. Oh, there's actually relabel. I didn't know of that. So yeah, it needed a little bit of refining the prompts to like really get there what I wanted to see with quick actions. Maybe we have an issue. We can actually open an issue. I'm not sure if I can like summarize that now. But what I want to test now is I have an open issue, and it would be helpful like to get a summary of that issue. And there is, I think help is /help provides a summary of what is available, of which code tasks. I could also, let's open the chat docs for a second. Because there has been some documentation has been added about different prompts. You can ask about a specific issue. Okay, I can actually ask directly when it's opened. Oh, that makes sense. Let's try a boring approach. Okay. I'm not sure why /help didn't work, but it's also something to provide for beta feedback. Help should provide an overview of all press commands and help.
Do we have a list of slash commands for Duo Chat? Is that on the Duo Chat help page?
Yeah, this should be on the Duo Chat help page. Let me see. Okay, it's not directly visible as I was expecting it to be, but there is a code task for /explain, there's /refactor, there's /tests, and in a specific context, I think there's also summarize. I'm just currently a little confused why I don't see it. But on the other side, I learned it's helpful to just try it out and then see if it works or not. Otherwise, I could also provide like a concise summary of the current issue which is open. And I do know we are discussing certain things around summarizing. I think summarizing an epic and summarizing an issue already works. But what other efficiency things could be helpful as a code task? Specifically for looking into source code or writing source code, it's helpful to use explaining source code, refactoring source code, like changing that in a more readable format or more efficient format using AI, or generating tests. because I'm honest, I don't like writing tests for my software, and having some help in that regard, generating the source code for me is super helpful. Summarize. Okay, it's actually a really long issue. Summarize can be a way to get help, but the thing we can also do in the meantime is I think, yeah, I created an issue template. And create quickly an issue. Let's see. And I want to use this quick action. And I thought of like, it probably won't work because this label doesn't exist. And then think about how can I debug that? Oh, now I have, yeah, and this is also something to keep in mind. When you have an open session with Duo Chat, the session is shared across different tabs, or you have the session shared on GitLab.com SaaS now. So you can always see what has been typed in different tabs. Now I have like this, oops, I have the summary action here. So let's quickly switch context. Because the idea was to get a summary of what we're doing today, like having a GitLab Duo Coffee Chat. And it summarizes like the goals are to demonstrate AI-assisted workflows with GitLab Duo using different features, providing product feedback, and so on. So yeah, it's a way to summarize an issue because this issue has grown a little bit, and I need to refactor it into an epic for FY25 to refining the tasks. But yep, I said the issue label didn't work. What should I do when an issue label as a quick action does not work in an issue template? And if I'm making up too many questions that are not production usage, please let me know. You're encouraged to jump in and say maybe we have a different approach. And now I have the problem that Duo Chat doesn't know the answer to the question.
Yeah, no, I think the questions you're asking are legitimate questions our customers would, type in.
Yeah, it's not helpful. This question can be answered using the GitLab docs for labels. But it's okay. I mean, it's in beta, and the more we we dog food it or use it ourselves and provide feedback, the more we can improve it. What should I do? Maybe I rephrase the question, or rephrase, make it a problem statement and then ask for actions.
Yeah, I think it's getting thrown off by the what should I do? It seems to like you said, statements a lot better.
The scoped issue label, and maybe like providing an example as well, is not applied to issues. Please explain situations where this can happen and provide a solution. What I also tried is when I see like a problem with source code or CI/CD is failing with some cryptic error messages, copying the string of the error and then say, I have this problem. Please explain why this can happen and hopefully provide me with a solution.
I'm kind of curious as to what would happen if you, let's say you're impatient or you're I guess short on time or maybe frustrated. I can see a customer putting something like labels and then hitting, the go button. Um, is that just not going to return anything for you, or is it at least going to try and like grab the labels docs link?
It's a great question. So I'm really an impatient person sometimes, and I probably would shorten my questions after quite a while trying it. Okay, yeah,
Okay,
it really needs more context to provide better answers.
gotcha.
And the reason we also like having the conversation today is figuring out how we can help our customers adopt better prompts. So what is the strategy of getting a good result in a reasonable amount of time when I have a question? I think in the beginning I didn't get any helpful responses because I was like, should I be talking to a human now? Should I be talking like this, how do I do or what should I do pattern? Or is it more like problem statement, which action should I take and so on. And I'm feeling more comfortable right now with like describing the problem and then asking, please provide something helpful. Or if we have an error, say, please explain, and then copy pasting the error message. And then sometimes it works, but sometimes I've also seen during the beta that it says, well, I'm a GitLab Duo chatbot. I cannot answer C++ questions. This is something to kind of improve from feedback. If I want to use type feature, maybe issue labels are probably not a good example here. But I would, for example, expect that it says, well, maybe you made a typo, maybe the label doesn't exist.
Yeah, I even think throwing you the labels doc would be useful. I mean, um, I think sometimes, especially if you've been dealing with something a while, you just kind of you just want it done, you know?
Yeah,
Um, I can definitely see people doing that. And then maybe us creating a doc that kind of shows like what you're saying, like, hey, here's the best way to get what you want from Duo Chat. Like, here's the construction of a sentence, the subject, the
yeah,
problem, the error, and this is how you can get the best result for what you're looking for.
yeah, exactly. And I'm just thinking of how to phrase it. Add instructions that are helpful for the prompt to get better answers. EA link to. Now I'm cheating here. Go here and link to either the GitLab Duo Chat documentation or probably something else. Okay. Let's see. I also prepared some CI/CD things. Oh, everything is failing. Which is failing, and also it's not a great pipeline. But I could imagine that this could be one of the problems that someone runs into with the first steps with CI/CD or migrating from a different CI vendor to GitLab CI/CD and inspecting errors in CI/CD. which could be a way to invoke GitLab Duo Chat, or if they have, for example, access to root cause analysis, which is another GitLab Duo feature, can also use that. So in the first way, I could, for example, say, using GitLab Duo Chat, CI/CD builds are failing with an error. Please explain how this can happen and help fix it. And this is more the long road to go. But if you, for example, only have access to chat, it can be a way to directly ask GitLab Duo Chat how to fix specific CI/CD problems. It's a similar question how I would frame it, for example, in the community forum, probably with a more summary and the full context. But it can be really helpful to say, okay, I have no idea about permission denied. Is it Linux? Is it Windows, Mac OS, something? How would I be debugging this? And reading that, I can see, okay, chmod and the executable flag is missing. I know exactly why this is the problem now because I forgot it when preparing for the session. But it's actually a good example. The other approach I could be taking is to say, okay, I'm not using Duo Chat here, but a different generative AI with root cause analysis, which brings up a prompt that the entire context here is being shared. So you need to be aware of that. And getting a summary of and an example how to fix it, which has a similar suggestion for fixing the problem. And in order to fix the problem, I cannot do that in the web IDE, so I need to change into my local environment where I have Visual Studio Code open, and create a new terminal, and then use chmod x and the scripts I prepared. Let's change everything with sh being executable. Okay. It's executable. I could do the git things in the UI, but I have been using the command line for many years, so much faster there. Okay, we have fixed that,
That's
and
on,
now,
sorry, that you're using Visual Studio.
Yeah, so I'm using Visual Studio Code, which is an IDE or an editor similar to Atom, or if you're using JetBrains for programming, or I don't know exactly how many editors are out there. I use it for writing code, but also oftentimes updating the documentation. I also have Veil and Markdown lint installed, which is helpful for contributing to the GitLab docs to ensure that no grammar mistakes and formatting is in there. Yeah. What you can do is you can also use GitLab Duo Chat in Visual Studio Code. So when you, for example, updating, writing documentation or programming or doing something else, you can access GitLab Duo Chat. I have moved it on the right-hand side. Actually, I don't. How would I be getting this back? No. So typically there's the icon for GitLab Duo Chat on the left-hand side, and you can kind of drag and drop it on the right pane. So it's always inside.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But yeah, I need to test different IDEs, or maybe I was talking with Aaron last week about the Vim extension for GitLab Duo, so that we can use code suggestions. And I don't know if Duo Chat will work somehow in the terminal, but using like terminal editors as well, and getting some help from GitLab Duo. Within our pipeline. Okay, the job is passed now. Yeah, the job has passed, but the script is not great because it was executed in a Ruby environment. Oh, let's maybe. I wanted to test. This is probably, this wasn't planned, but I forgot to install Golang in CI/CD, and root cause analysis can help with that because the Go compiler is not installed in the Docker image Ruby. So yeah, this was root cause analysis now, but maybe I can like mimic the same with Duo Chat by copying the error and then say, maybe we can also like have something where we mark some text, and then right click in a web browser doesn't work. It only works in Visual Studio Code and apps. But explain this CI/CD error. And this is my impatient version. I could also ask more politely and say, please explain the CI/CD error and the potential root causes and how to fix that. Okay, yeah, it understands. Sure, in the CI/CD run executing a script. If you're using a Docker executor, make sure it's installed in the Docker image. Okay, and this is actually helpful. Okay, what I can do now is going further with my kind of debugging story, or like maybe this can be a support ticket conversation. I don't know, or a wrong question. I need to install either Go, or I could also be fixing the CI/CD build or the pipeline to use a different image. So, for example, in the build job, actually using the Golang image from Docker Hub, and also for the continuing jobs. And these scripts don't do much. It's more like showing a pipeline. CI/CD, use Golang for job execute. And I'm actually hoping the source code compiles, which is in main.go. But we will see. So yeah, I'm testing a challenge just now. I'm trying to figure out like creating a playbook, or creating some reusable exercises from what we're learning in these coffee chats. Okay, so it builds. Ah. there is no error handling in the shell script. What could be the suggestion? No, this doesn't make sense. No. But it's a good question because I'm not a perfect or not a good shell programmer or bash programmer. How to handle errors in a bash script from executed commands and exit early. Is that something you're seeing often, like script errors in CI/CD?
I'm actually surprised that it's not picking that up at all. To me, I'm not sure why it says why it would be succeeded. I guess it's maybe not a flag that if it fails to continue, that would probably make sense.
Yeah, no, maybe to provide some more context on what is happening in CI/CD, the script calls some functions and then runs go build. So go build will fail, but for some reason it doesn't pick up, it doesn't stop the program, which
I
is
think
a
there's
little
actually
odd.
a flag that you have to throw in there in CI/CD. Otherwise, the job will complete even though it like something
Yes,
in it failed. You'll still throw the error, but
I think it's a set dash EX or something, and this is what
yeah.
I kind of wanted to make GitLab Duo Chat tell me. I can see that I can use that in CI/CD, but I'm actually more interested in how to implement error handling in a bash script to exit early. But maybe it cannot tell me that how to use set flags in a bash script to exit on error. And maybe it's not trained for that kind of question, but oh, it actually knows things. Non-exit and also exit on errors in the pipeline. Oh,
That's what we want, right? For it to know things.
yeah. It actually I did say something wrong here. It actually knows things because I mean I have been using Linux for 20 years now. I cannot remember things like that. And I can use the copy icon here, so it's in my context. And in order to edit this, I can also quickly open the web IDE if I want to, or do it locally. Let's maybe just continue locally here and navigate into our build script. And since we also have some other scripts here, which are more or less some demos, they're not doing much, but oh yeah, the test script does something weird. And by weird, I mean I ported the example from C++ to Golang, but I missed something. Fail on error in CI scripts. I also have seen that you can format the error messages in Bash so that they show up a little better in CI/CD logs. which I think is this link from this answer, where you can add colors in script output, which is something for example, I didn't know, but it can be helpful if you want to highlight specific errors in CI/CD better.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not sure if Duo Chat told me this URL or someone else, but I had no idea how to find it in the documentation or that it even exists. So it's really like was a way of exploring and learning sometimes. Okay, we are back into pipelines. And the pipeline failed again. Because okay, now it's expected to fail because the regex is undefined and FMT and so on. So this is some Golang specific problem. I mean, I could ask root cause analysis, but we can also like jump into the source code and quickly see how we can like fix the problem or what the problem actually is. And in order to do that, let's change to Visual Studio Code locally again, and then check out the main.go file, and we can see some errors have been in there already. So I previously, before the session, I used code suggestions to create an application which explains regular expressions because I cannot remember regular expressions, and it's always a good example. What I can do here is, for example, to select the source code and then right-click and say GitLab Duo Chat. Please explain the source code to maybe figure out what it needs to do the fix, or continue fixing the problem myself because I saw it already and say the import is missing. And actually does the following. I'm also looking forward when we, for example, implement something like /fix or /solve the problem or something similar. But it didn't show what is needed. I commented it out here, but I could also just say in this overlay, Visual Studio Code as a quick fix. I could, for example, add an import here and use another quick fix. Which could be helpful. Another way to approach this, what I've tried previously, was to see if I can get code suggestions to work with that, because it knows the context and then imports the packages automatically. So when I have code suggestions enabled, the grayed out area is like a suggestion now, and using tab, I can accept it, which can also be a great way in problem solving.
That would be great.
But it's more like, it depends on which user type or user persona you are. If you say I'm not deep down in the source code, my developers should probably fix the problem, it's also fine. It's more like combining all the different AI features in GitLab Duo to get the best results, or to get more efficient with debugging problems, because especially a pipeline problem is a little bit related to CI/CD, and then it's source code not working, and then it's something else. But yeah, let's fix missing imports and push that. And I think from a time perspective, yeah, we can potentially wait until this is fixed. And really the problem is when you're testing something and learning and thinking, time is running fast. So do you have any like questions from your experience or things can answer on the fly or look into?
No, I think honestly we covered um a lot of what I kind of expected we would go through. Um, and a little more. So I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of see this in action. It's really kind of cool to see and know that way when I see these tickets, I can, hey, oh, I've seen this work. I know how we can get the best answer for you. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think the more we kind of use it ourselves in our daily workflows, we can like make the product better, but also help our customers say, okay, maybe you have like I imagine this now in the future, maybe in a support ticket. You have the tools available. I did this now. I asked Duo Chat this specific question around CI/CD builds are failing. What is possible, and then providing these prompts to customers in tickets, or just in any support conversation, so that others can benefit and learn from that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, definitely. It
um,
is an exciting time for AI for sure.
Exactly, and things we see. I mean, the documentation is um, great, um, but we need more prompts as well. So anything we kind of learn from using GitLab Duo ourselves, we can embed into, or we can create a merge request, update the documentation. I also need to do that just to make sure we help each other learning while we adopt GitLab Duo. Okay. CI/CD is working. The only remaining part for CI/CD would be to optimize it, but this can also be an exercise to do async because right now everything is running in the test stage, so there are no stages defined. And as a challenge question would be how to optimize CI/CD with different stages. Please provide me help, maybe.
Yeah.
We can, you can also quickly type that to optimize CI/CD with multiple stages for better efficiency.
What I
Now,
would also like to see from like an optimized standpoint is if it were to look over your YAML files and kind of tell you where you have bloat. So like I know we have a lot of features like that kind of change, the nature of GitLab. So as far as like um, if statements or whatnot, and sometimes they become redundant. Where I've seen a lot of customers kind of put something in twice that kind of does the same thing when they can really all group it under one big block. That might be an advanced maybe in the future, but I think that would be nice to see too, because I've had some customers even come in on tickets where they're trying to just make it easier to read because they have this huge, YAML file.
exactly. I know, I think we have a feature proposal open for that because right now, I think the model doesn't understand the YAML configuration format to make suggestions. So like using it as a way for code suggestions and refactoring and things like that. But it would be amazing to really like refactor the rules maybe into a template or not having like the top down long list, but really efficient CI/CD configuration. I'm also hoping that we can use CI/CD components more when it's like GA this year, and ensure that everything gets optimized. Or even, and I need to find the issue, have some AI analytics for an existing pipeline, and then have a pop-up and say, if you optimize this line, the pipeline will save you 5 minutes runtime each time or something like that. So I've been talking with our product and engineering teams about this as well, because I think it's super valuable to get help with complex CI/CD pipelines.
Definitely.
Um, then I would say, because we're running out of time, thanks for joining today. I hope you learned something as well as I did. And we will maybe schedule another coffee chat or help update the documentation, share our insights with the team and our customers and the wider community. Yeah, and thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for inviting me, Michael. It's been a pleasure. I definitely learned a lot about Duo Chat feature. I took a lot of notes, so I will go ahead and try to add what I can to the doc that we've got going on here. And just yeah, thanks for setting this up. I'm sorry that the first time we tried to set this up, kind of had a customer call, but I'm glad that we rescheduled this because it was really informative.
Yeah, that works for you. Thanks for taking notes. I will take all the notes and the links and everything we talked about and put it in the video description. So for anyone viewing this on YouTube, so they can learn from what we've learned. Yeah, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you later. Thanks.